Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I do a serious video, and today I'm going to do a serious video on Trump's border wall and what I call the Great Hoax. Some people ask me why I even get involved with this. Well, there's a reason. There's a lot of reasons. There's hundreds of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons that I get involved with this conversation is because each immigrant that comes into America illegally over the course of the next 20 years of their life costs America approximately $1 million. Good morning, Mr. Nuts. Good morning, Samuel. Thanks for coming. Each immigrant costs America approximately $1 million over the course of 20 years, the next 20 years after they initially arrive into America. Now, a lot of that has to do with the cost of education and medical and dental costs. Education for a child from the time they're 5 years old to the time they're 17 or 12 years of grade school is $26,000 a year per student. Pretty much close to that. Most of the immigrants, from what I understand, are now receiving, hello, most of the immigrants, from what I understand, are now receiving free college tuition, whereas American children have to pay somewhere between $10,000 and $30,000 a year. So you add that up, those 12 years of at 26,000, you're up to about 300,000, and then add another 100,000 for that college education, you're up to 400,000, and then you have housing, food, and apartment rental, and they even give them an allowance for furniture. So the best and lowest estimate of the actual costs for each illegal immigrant is approximately between 900,000 and $1 million. But it could be more because they have free birthing at hospitals, and if the children there's a complication, they'll spend an untold amount of money to take care of like a heart murmur or something like that. But I have some notes that I'm going to go over now as well. So first I want to say hello to the people that are here already. A British expat in the Philippines watching from the Philippines. Good morning. Good morning to you too. YouTube. Hello, Michael and Daisy. Daisy went shopping, vegetable shopping. So she should be back before I'm done with this live stream. Thanks for stopping by, Samuel and Mr. Nuts. So I'm going to just go to some notes so that there are some sustenance to this. I have to lower this for a moment and then get my notes up on the screen. I'm working with a different screen than my laptop, so sometimes one thing interferes with another. So now we're going to get into Mr. Trump's promises that he has absolutely, unequivocally falsified, lied about, incompetent calculations, which I can't believe Mr. Trump is incompetent with his calculations, but yet the costs of the actual wall, if it ever is going to be built, which I don't believe it ever will, and I've said so in every video I made about this border wall discussion. Trump originally said the cost would be $11 million. $11 billion. But then he changed it to $13 billion. Well, like everything else, they underestimate or overestimate depending on what they want people to believe. And in this case, Trump's new figure is 25 billion. That is double what he promised the American people. That is not fair, considering Mr. Trump is one of the greatest builders in America, maybe the world, single privately owned builders, and he had to know what it would cost. But moving past the costs, he also stated that he was going to build this wall. It was going to be a priority, which is where he lied outright to the American people that he was going to start this immediately after getting into office, make sure that this border wall was funded. That didn't happen. He also stated that aside from the border wall, the immigration policy was going to be changed immediately after entering office. That didn't happen either. It didn't even come close. And the third big promise that Trump made that he outright broke, didn't adhere to, couldn't get done, even though the Congress was majority Republican and so was the Senate and so was his thought process, was voter identification ID cards, or mandatory, some way making it possible for people to know who was voting and take away the voting rights of illegal immigrants. That was another great hoax by Mr. Trump. Every election, about 3 or 4 months before every election, you hear about this illegal voter fraud and it's going to be corrected. And it never gets corrected. It never gets corrected. One of the reasons I think it doesn't get corrected, now this is just my opinion, one of the reasons it doesn't get corrected is so that they can use it for an advertising campaign. Had it been corrected, this is not my opinion, had it been corrected, tens of thousands, millions of people that Trump knew partook in the Clinton-Trump election of 2016. Some estimates say it was only 10,000 people voted illegally, and other estimates are 3 million people. But either way, Trump knew that illegal voting took place, and he did nothing about it. Okay? They could have, listen, this is how simple mandatory voter identification would be. You could do it. I could set it up. I, by myself, could set up a foundation or a section of government and eliminate voter fraud. First of all, the one thing you would have to do is go back to election day only voting, which at that point, the only people that would be able to vote would be people that have voter identification. And to compound it and make it more difficult for anybody to vote twice, everybody knows when you go into a water park or a discotheque or some other live event, they have a stamp that they put on your hand. Some of it's invisible, some of it's yellow, some of it's pink, some of it's blue, but it's an indelible ink. It doesn't come off so easy. So when you got to the voting booth with your proper identification, because you can vote on more than one occasion with your proper identification. It's been done before. When you get to the voting booth and you have the proper identification saying that you're a United States citizen, which only United States citizens should be able to vote, they stamp your hand or your wrist or your arm with this indelible ink. At that point, without going through all kinds of hoops to get that stuff off, you couldn't go from one voting booth to another, as was the case in the 2016 election, where people were being bused from one voting location to another, and they were voting without proper identification. So that would be how I would solve the problem. Is this some kind of rocket science? No. It works in places like Disneyland or Dorney Park or Six Flags Adventure or discotheques or live events or concerts. It works, but he didn't do any of that. So then now he's blaming the Democrats for voter fraud, when in fact it's Trump's fault for not doing something so simple It would have been the easiest of his three promises, his three main promises. It would have been the easiest to solve. But he didn't do that. He didn't even try to do that. I even sent through whitehouse.org that suggestion before the election. I never got a response. I didn't expect to get a response, but I had made, I think, one or two other videos about the voting in 2016. I don't remember. I have 2,600 public videos, but I mentioned this before. I certainly mentioned it several times before this current election, but no one took my advice because I'm just a nobody named Michael Fazio. Now, we'll move on to my next note. Trump lied about who was paying for the wall. That's an outright lie that he stated. First of all, nobody ever believed that Mexico was going to pay for the wall, although he believed it. I took my notes off of that. He believed it, but he didn't believe it either. I got to get my notes back up. Just give me a moment. I pushed a button, and it's on a notepad, and whenever you push a button, the notepad comes off the screen. So Trump said that Mexico was going to pay for the wall, and the president of Mexico, I remember the president of Mexico flipping him off on television, which I thought was rather funny because the guy had conviction. I forgot his name, but he had conviction saying, we're not paying for the wall. But Trump lied through his teeth, as do all politicians. Now, don't make any mistake about it. I don't believe a single politician ever tells you the truth 99% of the time. Another promise that Trump made is that he would tell the American people the truth. And then he changed the wording of that statement to say, when someone asked him approximately a month ago in September, do you always tell the truth about everything? And Trump admitted that he only tells the truth when he can, because sometimes you can't tell the truth. Now, I would understand if you can't tell the truth about nuclear codes or what's going on inside nuclear reactors, but I don't understand why you can't tell the truth about how many people, we're going to get to that, how many people are in this country illegally. For years and years, it was 11 million. Then it went up to 13 million. They loved the 11 and the 13 million. Then it went to 22 million, and then it went to 30 million. There's probably 45 million illegals in the Americas. And going past how many Mexican or other countries illegals are, they're only counting in this new caravan. They're only counting the people, and they're not counting the people. Make no mistake about it. They are not counting the people at the Mexican border that are trying to get into America. They don't even have, I would say it's probably off by 40%. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the amount of people that are supposed to be illegal in America, somewhere or another now, after 7 or 8 years at the 11 million mark, now it's 22 million. And then some people say 30 million, but it's probably 45 million. When I say that only counting the illegals at the border, I mean they're only counting the illegals at the border, and I also mean they're not counting the illegals at the border, because the border fence, which has now been breached in Tijuana or thereabouts on the beachfront, the border wall only goes out into the ocean 100 feet or so. Well, what's to prevent a guy from California on a Zodiac or a boat, a fishing trawl, to go around that wall, which I'm talking about out 5, 6, 7 miles in the ocean, and then just go around the wall and head to shore on the Mexico side and pick up 100 people and then go back? There's nothing preventing that. There's also nothing preventing people from coming into America on vacation from other countries that never go back to their original country. They might have a round trip ticket, but they never go back. So another 20%, 30% of people that come into the country illegally are coming in by boats, ships. A cargo ship could hold several thousand people if somehow someone could attain a cargo ship. And there's no reason why someone couldn't. People say it would cost too much money. What do you think is being spent giving these people food and medicine and new clothes and new sneakers? When you watch these videos of the illegal immigrants, everybody has a new pair of sneakers on. No one has dirty clothes. They all have clean shirts. They're all clean shaven. Somebody's supplying these people with razor blades and clothes, sneakers, certainly food, tents that go up at night and then are transported the next day to the next location, trucks, buses, trains, and in many cases a piece of farm equipment that transports hogs or cows are being used to transport people, and there might be as many as 100 people in one truck or one farm vehicle that and then the farm vehicle itself with 100 people in it has a flatbed trailer that you put a piece of heavy equipment on, and then you see another 100 or 150 people on a flatbed trailer, because some of them, they're about 50 feet long from the ball on the tongue to the end of the trailer, but some of them are longer than that. And they have no trailer, they have no heavy equipment on it. So on one of the trucks that I saw, there could have been 80 to 100 people in the truck, in like an 18-yard dump truck. You couldn't even count them. And then there was a flatbed, a lowboy flatbed behind it with at least another 120 people. I mean, I'm not going to sit there, shut the image, freeze the image and start counting heads. But on average, 100 and 100, that's 200 people in a truck. Each bus carries 75. They're using taxi cabs that are being paid the monies for the fares for the taxi cabs. Even the towns in Mexico are paying for the taxi cabs so that the people will leave the town that they're in, because they're doing so much. They're leaving their debris all over the streets. Not all of them are using the public restrooms that are supplied. They're urinating on the buildings. The whole place is being transformed from a nice, quiet, quaint town in Mexico to uh, the caravans in the street, and there are also reports of crime. But I'll move on to the next topic. Okay, then here's a big lie that not only is Trump lying about and lied about, but the media is lying about and is still lying about. How long it would take for originally 2,000 migrants that changed to 4,000 migrants, that changed to 7,000 migrants, and then the highest estimate was 14,000 migrants. And they know if the United States government wanted to put military technology to use to count heads, they could tell you exactly how many people are inside each truck and or on the street or the side of the street walking. They have aerial surveillance that they can see a license plate from miles up in the sky and read the license plate. Are you telling me that this technology is not available to the Border Patrol and now the military? I'm not going to believe it. It's just that simple. The technology has existed for 20 years. A plane could simply fly over the entire caravan from wherever it started in Honduras to the Mexican California border. It could just simply fly over it at 100 or 200 miles an hour and take a picture, and the computer would count how many people are in the graphics. But they're not doing that. They're giving you nothing but subterfuge, lies, and false information. They're never going to do that, but they can do that. It's in every science fiction movie where they could see how many people are in a courtyard. The war in Iraq and Afghanistan, they have technology that you see from the helicopters above, and it shows people running around a Jeep, and then the Americans in the helicopters are shooting what they call the non-friendlies, enemy combatants. You could see that from 1,000 feet up. Why couldn't they run that helicopter down the length of the entire border wall? And don't tell me fuel consumption, because they can refuel the helicopter in the air by having a refueler in front of it or following it or meeting it. But they can do this, but they're never going to do this. That's another lie. How long? Who's paying for it? How long would it take? How big it would be? That's a big lie. How big would is the caravan? There's a big lie. Now I'm going to go on to the next thing. Here might be one of the most prolific lies that Trump ever expounded onto the American people. He said that no one, he made it unequivocally, worded it, that no one is coming into America from Honduras or the caravan. He said that for weeks. Now, people that understand literature or understand sentence syntax, you can add a question mark at the end of a sentence and it means something different than if you state it with an exclamation point. But what Trump did is he outright blatantly lied when he said no one is coming in. And he said that for weeks. And then he changed that by adding just one word. He said no one is coming in at all. And then after a few weeks, right before the election, he said he added the word illegally, which means that under the current law and administration, once the people jump over the border or walk across the border, or however they get across the border, they have to be interviewed. And they have to have a court date set up in the future, which, by the way, the courts are backed up for a couple of years. So the court date might be 2 years away. And when he said no one is coming in at all, and then he added illegally, that means that he is now going to follow American law and vet these people as best they can immediately after the border, and then whatever, fingerprint them, photo ID them, whatever they do to figure out who these people are. And then they give them a court date to show up 6 months, a year, 18 months, depending on which state you're in. And that never happened. I mean, that was just what never happens is they don't show up. So he lied that when he said no one is coming in. Okay. Now the media. Now let's get to the media. The media lies about everything. Now, I could give you stories about growing up in New York City. I could name names. I could name approximate months and years. And that I have seen things that have actually occurred from the 1970s on. I have actually seen certain particular events or knew the people involved with the events, and then the story in the media the next day or that day, because most of those events I'm talking about were front page news, had nothing at all to do with the truth. It didn't give names. It didn't have the right reasons for the event. It didn't have the right people involved. All the media saw. I don't want to get in trouble here, so I have to think about how to word this. I'll just say an event happened. All right, I'm not going to incriminate myself or anybody else. But an event happened. It happened. It's there. It's in the public venue. Photographers went and took pictures of the event. At that point, with no facts at all, the media just made up a complete fabricated story as to why the event happened and who did it. There was no truth. These events I'm talking about, there's no truth to the reasoning the event happened. There's no truth to the people that were involved in the event. There's no truth whatsoever as to what led up to the event. Let's say there was a family dispute and something happened. There was no truth at all by the media. They would just they would fabricate a story. So the media is lying, and now we jump ahead to present day. The media said it's 30% women and children. Well, I just watched a video where one man who really had, you got to give the guy a lot of credit. One man went into Mexico, maybe with one photographer, and he videotaped the caravan along the way in several locations. And he says that it's not 30% women and children. He says at best it's 10%, but probably closer to 5% women and children. The rest of them are mostly young men between the ages of 15 and 30. So the media is lying as to how many women and children are in the caravan, and Trump is not correcting them. And Trump could correct them if we digress back to Trump using the technology that already exists for a flyover at low speed, and you could count heads. You're not going to sit and watch the video and count the heads, but they count heat signatures. Okay, there is nothing stopping the American government or Trump from doing this, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it because he is as much a part of this hoax as he blames the Democrats for being, just like he didn't ever institute voter identification. And he could have done that one thing. That would have been the simplest thing he could have done, was mandatory voter identification immediately after getting into office. And for months he said that there was voter fraud and he was going to correct it, and then he never did anything about it because Trump is part of the swamp. He is also being controlled by entities that have not the best interest of America they don't have my interest or somebody else's interest in America. They have their own interests from foreign country via dual citizenship. I have to be careful where I start drawing the line, but just remember there are people that have dual citizenships that run the Congress, the Senate, and now Mr. Trump. Okay, now the fact that Trump said that he was going to use the military, there's a phrase for that, passe comitatus, I think that's the phrase, that the military can't be used to enforce civilian law. All right, but he did say that the military would be backing up ICE. I'm scratching because I have the windows open and the mosquitoes here today are horrific. And I can't have the air conditioner on. It makes too much noise in the background. But he said that the military would be backing up ICE. But at the border wall of Mexico and California, I think it's near Tijuana. I have the article up. I'm not going to open up the other window. But you can see several hundred people, not a few dozen, several hundred people on the Mexican side of the border wall, and you see guys climbing up the border wall like it's only like, I think it's like about 18 feet. You see them scaling. They're metal panels at the beachfront. They just grab the back of the metal panel and they walk up it as if it was a ladder. Now I couldn't do it because I'm too heavy, but when I was 25 years old, I could scale that thing in a minute. There was no barbed wire on it until today. And yesterday they started breaching the wall. So now I understand that they briefly before I started this video live stream, I understand they supposedly put barbed wire on. So now the people can swim around because it's only a few hundred something feet. If most people can swim a few 100 feet, so it's only 100, and let's say it's 150 feet. It's 150 feet to the edge of the wall. They can swim around it. And the people that jumped over the wall in that place, that breached the wall, the ICE agents were standing back. Oh, it's hard to judge when you're looking straight on, but it about 100 to 150 feet. They did nothing to try to arrest anybody. Another thing that you did see in one video, and then they cut that, watch the same video over the last, since yesterday morning until today. Immediately after going over the wall, what they did before they got over the wall was they threw a bunch of rocks over the wall. They had them in their pockets or their knapsack. As soon as they got over the wall, they picked up the rocks to, fend off the border agents. Now, the border agents were so far back, they couldn't throw a rock that far. I didn't see anybody throwing a rock that far, but what other purpose would a rock serve? Now, if you're not familiar with getting hit with a rock, I can tell you, the rocks that most of them were throwing at the Mexico border looked like it was along the tracks of some sort of railroad. It might not have been a big railroad, but usually they make those rocks from, they don't make them from coral, they make them from granite or bluestone. They're pretty heavy. And if someone threw a rock about 50 or 60 feet, 2.5-inch piece of bluestone, and it hit you in the head, chances are you're gonna be hurt seriously. So the people have weapons, but no border agent in that video arrested even one person, and there were probably 2 or 3 dozen. See, the news, this is another way they lie to you. They have a tunnel vision on one section of the border fence, but meanwhile, it's 1,000 feet long that the people are lined up behind. And in that one section of about 75 feet, there were 20, 25 people on the American side. They can scale the border wall so fast that when I started walking towards them, some of the guys just climbed back right up to the top of the wall and jumped over the other side. Okay, so no one is arresting people at the border wall, and there were no American troops at that section of the border wall. So he just lies about everything. Now, had the military been there, apparently they could only back up if there was violence, but it wasn't there. So they knew the people were on the buses coming, and they were only a few hours away, and they didn't bring the military to that section of the wall. And that would have made the most sense because that's the first part of America that touches Mexico. Why weren't there any troops there? There weren't any troops there because Trump didn't want any troops there. Now, some people say that Trump is playing 4D chess. I say unequivocally he's a fraud and a hoax with all of his promises. Not all of them. I mean, some of them he kept. He kept the promise to Israel, kept all of Israel's promises. He's just not keeping any promises to the American people. Now I'm going to go to the comments in a minute, and there's some people there I see that have been leaving comments on my other pages. I would like to say hello to those people. So I'm going to go down to the next. Some of the comments are pretty interesting. Okay, so now another aspect of the border wall, who's funding it? Well, tens of millions of dollars. This is another lie by Trump. Trump knows who's funding the wall. Don't make any mistake about it. If the president of the United States doesn't know about it, that means the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the DEA, especially the DEA, The DEA should be the #1 three-letter agency on the border wall, but it's not. Okay, so they know who's funding the wall. Now, they know there's a group of people that are dressed in black garments, black shirt, black pants, black hat. And those people are handing out money and flyers to give people instructions once they get to America. Now, are you telling me that no one knows where the money is coming from? A video I saw about 10 days ago, I guess, they were handing out rolls of money, small rolls of money about that big. I don't know what denomination the bills were, but every immigrant where they breached the wall, and I think it was Mexico, they got in a line. They formed a nice, healthy, like 4 or 5 people wide line, and there were 4 or 5 people at the front of the line. And as they passed, they couldn't go back. Each person got a small package of what the reporters called money. I don't know what it was, but I mean, that would be so for their living expenses. Are you telling me that the FBI, the DEA, the NSA, the CIA doesn't know who's funding it? I'm not going to believe that. The NSA apparently has this place in Colorado that every single telephone call and internet voicemail or text is recorded. So these people have to be getting a location to pick up the money by somebody. You can't tell me that the United States government doesn't know who's giving the money, but Trump won't say it. And he won't say it because he's part of the swamp. There's no other reason for any of this. I could make up 100 excuses. Now, there are people saying that the Vatican is funding part of this trip so that they could get the refugees into America and put them in places that they have specially built for the immigrants. And that it might cost them $40 a night to house an immigrant and feed the immigrant and give them, maybe they give them aspirin or they give them food, water, clothing, but they're charging the government much more than that. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would imagine they're probably tripling or quadrupling the cost. So if it actually costs $40 from the Catholic Charities to house an immigrant for one day, I would think they're charging somewhere close to $150. Other people have estimated it's more. That's one organization that is supposedly, quote unquote, bringing them into the country. Another person is George Soros. Well, if Trump said it was George Soros, if Trump said it was George Soros, he would know who it is. So he's not saying it's George Soros. So does he know who it is and is not telling the American people via lying through his teeth? Or is George Soros doing it and Trump and George Soros sleeping together? And then it gets even more complicated when you blame George Soros, because George Soros has 2 children that are taking over the family business of destroying America. George Soros made no bone about it. And back in the 70s, he made a statement saying that he despises America, even though he made his billions here, and he wants to bring America to its knees. Okay, that's his, and through freedom of speech, that's his prerogative. But Trump knows who's supplying the money, and he knows who's supplying the money, and Trump knows who's supplying the money, and he doesn't tell you who's supplying the money. But you're not going to tell me that the NSA, the DEA, especially also the DEA, they also watch all these traffic between internet services. I'm going to get Patrick Barker. I've had about enough of you. Really. No joke, Patrick. You have been putting out false information about me and things I say, and now you're on here abusing me. I'm going to ask you to stop, okay? Not just here, but everywhere else you're spamming up my videos. And I'm going to get to your comments, but if you persist with this nonsense about me contradicting myself, I can't make an absolute positive statement because it's not possible to make an absolute positive statement because people like you are in the media and you lie about everything that you've posted on my videos for the last week. So you are just as despicable as the media, and now you come into my live stream and spamming it up with garbage. Don't don't remove him, Samuel. Let him continue to be the liar and deceitful individual that he is. Now, how can anybody in this world know to respond to this moron's thing saying that I'm back backpedaling on what I'm saying, just to respond to this moron statement? How can anybody make an unequivocally true statement if everybody in the government and the news media and people like you lie about everything that's posted on the internet? Nobody can be sure of anything. So I state that I don't know for sure, but this is what it seems to be like. Yeah, you don't give me the hello, Michael nonsense. You are a backstabbing, lying piece of walking, talking humanity. You are an abuser of facts. That's right. Just ignore him, Samuel. I'll get to him when I read the comments. I have something to say to him. Okay, so now another lie. Don't push me, Patrick. Don't come on here. Just so that you can have FaceTime, don't do it. Okay, so now another lie that Trump and the media are pushing is that they are walking from Honduras. And they are not walking from Honduras. This is a fact. They are being bussed in with trains, buses, flatbed trailers, dump trucks, vans, small vans, and cabs. Okay, that's a fact that we see on the media. But how many people there are is not a fact and can't be proven other than the way I stated it could be proven by going over them with an aerial survey and counting heads. Patrick, I don't want to remove you. I want you to continue posting this garbage. Don't make a mistake about this. You're a piece of garbage. You post garbage because you are a piece of garbage. Everything that you have stated in the last several days on spamming up my videos is a lie. Everything that you said is an outright lie. You can't prove a single thing that you stated. Nothing that you stated on any of my videos can be proven. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next statement. So I'm not going to review the comments from Patrick for a while. If somebody else I see says something that I'm interested in, I might check that out. Now, the media said just 2 days ago that they are 1,000 miles away. And yesterday they arrived at the border. So they are, in fact, at the border when just 16 or 18 hours before, the media said they were 1,000 miles away. So they changed what they stated being 1,000 miles away to, they said the caravan was 1,000 miles away. And then when they arrived at the border yesterday, they said most of the caravan is 1,000 miles away. So some of it arrived yesterday, so they changed the word to most of the caravan is 1,000 miles away. Another point is The media states that there are between 2 and 3,000. Then they went up to 4,000. Then it went to 7,000. And the highest approximate was 14,000, which again can be. That's right, Mike P. Many of them are on top of the border wall just sitting there. Um, so the range of the amount of people, first it was one caravan, then two, then three. Why can't Trump, the liar that he is, why can't he fly these helicopters with this thermal imaging over the caravan, just over that one road, the main road from South America to America? Why can't he do that? Why did he not do that? You should be asking yourselves why Trump, and now that he has the military there, do you think that they don't have this capability? You think they forgot to bring that part of the helicopter and that part of the planes that fly over and tell you how many people are on the ground? Do you think that the planes and the helicopters that he brought to California and Texas don't have that option? Well, if you think that, then you're dumber than a box of rocks. They don't show it. They don't go over. They don't fly over. They don't give you a head count through thermal imaging. They're lying to you. And Trump is lying to you. The media is lying to you. The Congress is lying to you. The Senate is lying to you. They are all lying to the American people. And meanwhile, whoever did pay taxes or is paying taxes, your money is going. The average person, let's say, makes $800 to $1,000 a week. Well, and each illegal immigrant that's been a proven fact gets up to $3,800 a month. So a mother and a father can collect over $7,000 a month, just those two people. And then their children, two more children, get medical, dental, and schooling for free, and food. They get free food in school. I didn't get free food in school, but I remember people from other countries, even China, they all got free food in school. And this was going back into the 70s. So they're giving these people every available option of free stuff that if you accumulated it and then you added on the costs of the court costs to review their cases, and then the additional costs to find the people when they don't show up for court costs, you're talking about each person cost America $1 million over the course of 20 years, which is what I said in the beginning of this video. So I'll go to the last point. Okay, the technology to read license plates from a helicopter, like that. There's in Florida where I lived. When you go from Florida and you head towards New Jersey or South Carolina or North Carolina, when you head in those directions, above the freeway or 95 or the interstate, if you're taking the interstate, well, the interstate is 95. But if they have a helicopter sometimes hovering over the road, okay, and the helicopter can take a picture of your license plate. So if the reason for that is because if there are two cars, let's say there are two silver Cadillacs, and the Cadillac, each Cadillac's going to have a different license plate. Well, their technology, if they choose to zoom in on the license plate, will prove which of the Cadillacs was speeding, because the state trooper is a mile or two down the road, and they pull you over as you go past. So if it's just one car on the road going 100 miles an hour, they just tell the trooper, the helicopter tells the trooper there's a red Corvette coming at, we just clocked them at 100 miles an hour. So, but they have the technology to read the license plate too. So, and in some cases they do, and in some cases they don't. But if it goes to court, they usually come up with pictures of the license plate. Now I'll go back. I'm going to go to the comments. Okay, so I'm going to go right to the top of the page. There's a lot of comments. I'd like to address a lot of them. As usual, the people that get the highest priority are my long-term subscribers, people that have really intelligent stuff to say, the people who donate a super chat hamburger for Daisy and I, and or morons. And we have to add morons because Patrick is here today. Okay. All right, John Boone Bean. They see the infrared heat of people. That's to confirm. Now, if you're going to make fun of people spelling, please don't do that on my channel. Some of the members of my family were the best of the best of the best, and they had a fourth grade education, so in their fields. So don't critique somebody for their spelling. I'm not interested in seeing that. It happened on 2 live streams ago. I'm really not interested in that at all. So thank you, John, for adding that. YouTube, they can't do that. It's against the law. Daniel Valentine, he likes to have pork products with his meals. See, now we have Patrick Barker here. Now he does the same thing, probably under different names. Or this is how a troll works. They expand on something I'm saying or someone else is saying in another live stream. They expand on it and confirm that there's truth to the statement. And then later on, little by little, they inch their way into your heart by commending you for a statement, and then they start with the abuse. So in this case, Patrick Barker says, or they can just look at the thousands that are being funded by Soros and any other vehicle. Of course they can. That's somebody knows where the money is coming from. Nobody is telling it. Somebody knows how many people there are with infrared heat signatures. Nobody is telling you. And when I say somebody, I don't mean a person. I'm talking about thousands of people in individual groups. The DEA has heat signature planes and helicopters so that they can see what they call mules bringing drugs across the border. They call them mules. That's a term that the DEA, so they have heat signature helicopters flying day and night. They have them already. So that's one agency that has it. The military certainly has it. I am pretty sure the CIA has it, and the NSA, because they protect the president, or via different agencies, they work together. So most of these agencies either have the technology or can use the other agents' technology in real time. So that means that when they fly over, immediately the computer is going to pick up heat signatures. Now, some of the heat signatures might be a dog or a coyote, but around all those people crossing large expanses, there's probably not going to be a dog or a coyote in the general area. But even if there is, there might be 1,000th of 1% dogs or coyotes. So they can pretty much nullify dogs and coyotes from heat signatures. So in case anybody says that, it's not really much of a factor. Now, 2 towers, Mutt says 2 towers. No Patrick Barker. Okay, Patrick Barker is my friend then. No. See, this is that left-handed compliment thing I talk about. Okay, and now I'll have to read it. And before you claim Soros is not funding this, I didn't claim Soros is not funding it, Patrick. Your cognitive reasoning is really like on the low end of the scale. What I said is that Trump knows who's funding it, And what I said is, if you blame it on George Soros, George Soros has two children that also can be responsible. Now, I am not allowed to say that George Soros is funding it, Patrick. There are certain rules that you have to abide by when you're talking about, um, commentary. I can't now. If somebody like you, the genius that you are, if somebody like you could follow the money trail and prove it was George Soros and document that, then I could say it was George Soros. But right now, I'm not allowed to say it was George Soros. So don't put words in my mouth that I'm saying it's not George Soros. I'm telling you that no one knows for sure, because the people that do know are not telling us. And they do know who it is. I told you, they believe the Catholic charities are doing it for profit, and they believe that Soros is doing it. Now, there are hundreds of videos stating that they believe George Soros is doing it, but not one with absolute proof. So I can't say there's absolute proof. Now, you are trying to push me to say that for a specific reason, and I know what the reason is. One is because you are trying to catch me up in an outright blatant lie. And two is because you are trying to catch me up in an outright blatant lie, because that's the type of guy you are. You've been trolling my channel now for several days. I don't really want to go to the review what I read like 5 days ago. I would have to find the video and look. I don't even remember what it was on. I remember what it was, but I don't remember what video it's on, because I don't pay attention to people like you. I don't pay attention to, because of this. You're spamming up everywhere I go. I see your name, and you are also using basically the same comment on everybody's video. You're a troll. You're a troll. That's by definition is what you are. You're a troll. So here you are trolling on my channel, and here I am giving you an explanation as to why I won't say it's George Soros, because I can't, because there's no proof. And now you're asking in the same comment, am I claiming all of these buses and semis are driving hundreds of miles for free? All the food that's sustaining. No, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you somebody is funding it. All right. So Patrick agrees. Always think before you're saying things. LOL. Now I don't know if that's on my favor or against my favor. So we have to go back. This is great that he's putting this stuff up on there, because it makes you think. But he'll eventually, by the time I get down to the end of the comments, he'll eventually be abusing me. That's the kind of guy Patrick is. Okay, so Patrick says, I just watched a group that's already legally entered through the port of entry. Yup, because Trump's changed the statement to where no one is coming in, and he added the word illegally at the end of the statement. So, and he also demanded that they have to come in through a port of entry, like Patrick Barker says, and if they come in outside the port of entry, there would be other ways to deal with the illegal migration. So he's giving them the opportunity. Trump is giving them the opportunity to come in through a legal portal and guaranteeing them a court date. People that don't go through the portal, I don't know what the guarantee is, because it changes from day to day. Okay, so Patrick is making a statement here. They gave, all right, I'm not going to critique your English, but I'm just trying to figure out how to word this to make it sound like what I think you're saying. The reason they gave for leaving, should have been leaving, not leave. The reason they gave for leaving the group and getting ahead in other vehicles was because the group was harassing them. Okay, that's possible. They are in the, because they are in, okay, so Patrick is saying because these people that are at the head of the caravan are in the LBGT group. They're leaving because the other members of the caravan were harassing the LGBT. Now, I never heard that, but actually that makes sense. Okay, so okay, so group, so that they are leaving their country for being harassed. Okay, could be that they're leaving the first part of the caravan, and they are leaving their country for being harassed for being in the LGBT. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, of course, Patrick, to answer your question, RT News, I have that up here somewhere. Let me see if I can find that. I actually, I had one of the places that I saw the first video I watched yesterday morning of the people jumping over the border. Now, I know this for a fact, was RT News. Now, I had it up on the top of the screen, and I'm looking for that just for you so that I could answer your question honestly. I gave it a thumbs up on my liked videos. I know that. But now, so RT News was the first news agency to publish that they were climbing over the border wall. I think it was yesterday morning, which would have been, I think, 11/14/2018. So, and then the second place that it's visible to be seen is this window here. I have to open up the window, and I'll give you the name of the article. Okay, so maybe that let me. Well, I have to go back to the top of the page here. Hold on. I'm going to the top of the page. Okay. San Diego. Okay, the news is out of San Diego. Let me get right to the top. Okay. In this video, the name of the video is Increased Security at Borderfield State Park. Increased Security at Borderfield State Park is the name of one video. And I can't copy that because it's in a picture of the video. But it says people on the Mexican side of the border could be seen climbing the fence near Borderfield. Okay, Borderfield State Park. Okay, so that I could copy down. I'll copy that down, and then I'll go and I'll post that. Okay, so I'm going to post it at the. It's going to go at the bottom. Increase. Okay, so Patrick, to answer your question, the name of the article is by Fox, and it is Increased Security at Borderfield State Park. Now, I don't want to read the whole thing, but I don't have, although I should, you know what? I've been having a lot of problems with my computer, which is why I didn't even realize you were spamming up my channel for over a week. Until today, my computer was basically useless. I have some kind of virus in the computer. I don't know what it is, but whenever I was clicking on Google to search for something, a series of either zeros or periods or sevens. Each day it changes to a different character. And it's been like that for about 6 or 7 days where the computer was basically useless. Sometimes it would work for a few minutes, and then those zeros and sevens would happen. So to answer your question, you don't watch news 7 days a week, 24/7. And you can't, what you're doing there is you're making a false statement. You're lying, basically. You're pulling a Donald Trump on us. if you watch news 24/7 and you live, what country are you in? Maybe you're in Yugoslavia. I don't know where you live, and I don't really care where you live, actually. But no, no, Trump hasn't kept more promises than he kept some promises, but he didn't keep the ones that really matter. He said he was going to build a border wall. Okay, so you can bring up all these points, just don't be derogatory. I'm going to explain that to you now. Just because I haven't spammed you out doesn't mean I won't. Keep it civil, and I'll keep the conversation going. All right. But Samuel, you don't do anything to Patrick Barker. I'll be the deciding. I'll decide whether or not to answer his question or to delete to delete the individual comment. Samuel is a member of my Patreon account, and he helps me out with my live stream. So Patrick Barker says, really, Trump's kept more promises, you mean, and done more than Obama did. The Obama did in 8 years. Yes, probably he's done more than Obama. Good for the country, but he didn't keep. Listen, Patrick, let's not mix apples and oranges here, Patrick. Okay, let's not mix apples and oranges here. Trump got elected to do three things. He ran on three concepts that he guaranteed was going to take place. The first and primary foremost reason that Trump won is because at every rally, he unequivocally stated he was going to build a wall. It was going to happen pretty much immediately after he became president. He was going to work on it, and that Mexico was going to pay for it. Those three things didn't happen. But that's how he got elected. If it wasn't for the if it wasn't for the concept of illegal immigration, Trump would have lost. And if it wasn't for his ideology on illegal immigration, Trump would have lost. So that was his first ideological conversation that was a lie to the American people, that he was going to build a border wall and that it was going to be between 16 and 18 feet wide, and it was going to be between 30 and 40 feet high. And at the top of the border wall, they showed you these graphics that were possible to put tracks on top of the border wall, where the bottom track would have like a trolley on it, and then there would be another type of trolley that went over the original trolley, so that you could have traffic in both directions using electric trolleys. I saw the schematics, or the graphics for that to take place, and that's what he was pushing at some point in the news. That's what they were talking about Trump was going to build. Well, now he's putting up some skimpy wall that's about 15 to 20 feet high that's climbable. Originally, Trump said that no one would be able to scale his wall, which is a lie in and of itself, because most military people, if they have the equipment, they could get over the wall. Barbed wire makes it more difficult, and until last week or 10 days ago, there was no barbed wire on most of the wall. Anyway, there was no barbed wire on the border. Maybe until a few weeks ago, there was places that were 300-400 meters long with no fence at all, nothing, just what they call Normandy vehicle stops, where like three pieces of steel are in different directions, and if a car tries to ram it, it breaks the radiator or the transmission of the car. So, and then in between those, which was spaced at about 4 feet apart, there was nothing. So you could just walk around. You couldn't drive a car through it. You could ride a motorcycle through it. So Trump did not keep his promises. The second promise, to get back to Patrick Barker's quasi-intelligent statement was that he was going to do mandatory voter identification. He didn't do that. He said that because there was ID fraud, or he believed there was ID fraud, or it was proven that there was ID fraud, he said he was going to make it mandatory after his election to have ID, voter ID. It was going to be a primary on his schedule. He didn't keep that promise. That's two promises that he broke. And the third one was the size of the wall, or the third or fourth one was that Mexico was going to pay for it. Now that's another big promise. And initially, in case anybody's here that wasn't here at the beginning of the live stream, initially Trump said the border wall was going to cost $11 billion. At that point, then it changed to $13 billion, and now a number that Trump poses is $25 billion. But he said it was going to be between 16 and 18 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet high. But now they are only putting in sheets of metal, and they're only getting 3 miles of those sheets of metal in the ground per 8 months. The companies that have been installing them. Okay, so at that rate, if you took that number, 3 miles per 8 months, okay, let's just double the amount and just say it happened in a year. So you have, on average, 5 miles a year. We're not going to double it. We're just going to prorate it. So 5 miles per year per company. Well, there's 3,000 miles. You do the math. Okay. If it takes a year, Daisy's home. If it takes a year to do 5 miles, and you had 10 companies, and it was expensive. It was $130 million or $100 million. I don't know. I don't remember. One type of border wall cost $30 million to build a mile of, and another one cost $50 million to build a mile of. But the wall that Trump wanted, 16 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet high, there was never an estimate. That's what he estimated the original border cost of $11 billion and then $13 billion at that size wall. So that's a total outright blatant lie. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Nice. Red, white, and blue?
What?
Red, white. There's no blue there?
Black.
Black. Red, white, and black umbrella? Nice. Because Daisy just had her hair straightened, and she doesn't want to get it wet. Did it rain in the city?
Yeah.
Daisy just went shopping for our weekly vegetables and some aspirin and an umbrella and eggs. Yeah?
When?
She left. What time did you leave?
7.
7 o'clock this morning, and now it's 11 at 11. That took 4 hours. And thank you, Daisy.
You're always welcome.
Okay. So to digress back, do you need me to help you with anything?
No, thanks.
Sure. Honey, can you get me the Bugnow water, please? Thank you. All right. So to digress back, Trump's original border wall at 16 to 18 feet, what he portrayed in his campaigning, I don't know how much that would cost a mile, but just to shoot sheets of steel in with an ice hammer is costing $30 million a mile. So the border wall that's 16 to 18, and now those sheets, he's saying, here's another lie from Trump. He said the border wall would be 30 to 40 feet. Now the newspapers tells you that the wall is 30 feet. Trump's installing a 30-foot wall. But if you go to the border, it's only 16 feet above ground. It's hard to, when a man stands in front of the wall, it appears to be between 14 and 16 feet. But they're stating it's a 30-foot wall because it goes in the ground 14 or 15 or 16 feet. It depends where it is and how far down they shoot it into the ground. That's what I did for a living. So I know what they're doing. They're just taking an ice hammer and dropping these sections down either with an ice hammer or they're digging a trench, and then they were putting concrete on one side because the bottom of the wall has like bars at the bottom, which makes it easy for them to climb up. And then the one version of the wall that was supposed to have like a flat sheet of steel for the last 6 feet, some of it has, and then it was supposed to have a rounded top so you couldn't throw uh, a grappling hook over and grab onto anything. Well, that only holds true if the grappling hook doesn't go over the top of the ballard and then come down and grab the bottom of the 6-foot sheet. Probably would take several dozen throws to get that to happen, but once it did, you could just keep climbing over with a rope, a knotted rope. So Trump didn't keep his promise on the size of the border wall, the cost of the border wall, who was going to pay for the border wall, and certainly not the original size of 16 to 18 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet high, which if you add another 14 or 15 feet down, the wall would have been 55 feet total, 14, 15 feet in the ground, and 30 to 40 feet higher. He didn't keep that promise. He lied to you. Rob Donaldson. Yeah, that was, I was either going to cover that topic today, Rob Donaldson. I was going to cover the Broward County scandal with illegal voter. Broward County now wants, just to digress back to what I read this morning. Broward County the Democrats wanted all, they said, quote unquote, all votes to count. And that meant whether the person was illegal or legal, which changed some of the election results. So let's see, breaking report. Broward County deputy says Democrat civil rights attorneys were handing out absentee ballots to inmates after the election. After the election. I didn't read that. Okay, but if you say so, I believe you, because they have that woman Snipes, she's been caught. No one knows why she's still in office. No one knows why she's collecting $178,000 a year. Saw a Fox News report that 60 to 65,000 votes were turned in. For those of you who don't know, and I didn't know 2 weeks ago, so I don't follow voting at all. I mean, I don't follow how the ballots are supposed to be counted. It was something I never knew about. But 2 weeks ago, I heard that and discovered that you're supposed to have a total amount of votes in each district within 30 minutes after the polls close. Now, it's not the votes, who's the votes for. Not that. It's just if your district had 100 votes and within 30 minutes of the election polls closing, you had to send off a computer-generated message that we had 100 votes in our district. It doesn't tell you who they voted for, Republican, Democrat, judges, doesn't say any of that stuff. But now the votes were coming in not hours, but days afterwards, which changed the election. And now Rob Donaldson just said that he has heard or read or seen something to the effect that civil rights attorneys were handing out absentee ballots to inmates after the election. Now, why did I go along with Rob Donaldson's comment? Because Donald Trump knows this kind of stuff goes on, and he knew the woman Snipes had been legally caught committing fraud 2 years ago during the 2016 election. And since 2011, there have been discrepancies in her record keeping. Plus, you're supposed to keep the ballots for 22 months after the election. And at about the year, 1 year after the 2016 presidential election, which there were other votes involved for other offices, she destroyed, I don't know how many ballots she destroyed. You're not allowed to destroy one, and she destroyed several tens of thousands. I don't remember the number, but I remember reading that she basically destroyed a large percentage of votes from Broward County, so no one could ever check to see if those votes happened. They didn't happen, and then they just said who voted for who, and then the records were destroyed. So she shouldn't have been in office. Now, Trump sent his lawyer. Oh, Trump. Oh, yeah, God, Trump. Oh, I'm going to send my better lawyers. You wouldn't have had to send your better lawyers to Huff. You would have followed up on your original promise to stop voter fraud. It would have happened months ago, months before the election. You're a liar, Mr. Trump. All right, now here, Patrick Barker. I told you this was going to happen. Really, Michael, listen to yourself. You make statements, then you contradict them 3 seconds later. We'll digress. I can't make an absolute, firm, absolute guaranteed statement that something I say is fact, because no one in the media and Trump and the Congress and the Senate and the Border Patrol and the ICE agents and the police, the sheriffs, no one is giving us accurate numbers. How can anybody make a factual statement when everybody is lying? I'm just telling you the small amount of people, because Patrick threw it up in my face somewhere down the line, that I only have 22 viewers. Well, I would like to see you do a live stream and get more than 2 viewers. I don't know how many people you have on your channel, so you might be able to accomplish that. But seriously, I doubt it. And the reason I only have 21 people watching, Patrick, is because I've gone into this in great detail, because I am making political statements against Donald Trump and against the Democrats and against Congress and against Google's policies, which are really, really ripping the YouTube community apart. Because I do that, YouTube unsubscribed all my subscribers. I have people that have been subscribed to me now that are watching, like Mr. Nuts. He's been like a subscriber for 8 years. He might be getting an update, or he might have just been searching and saw that I was doing a live stream, random searching. But I've had, I think it's Philly in the Philippines, told me no matter how many times he subs my channel and clicks the bell, he doesn't get an update. So he has to physically come on every day and look for me if he wants to participate in the live stream. So don't tell me that I only have 22 people watching. I only have 22 people watching because I do political commentary, and that's common. There are people. Red Pill Philosophy has 125,000 subscribers. Okay, he used to get between 300 and 500 people watching his live streams, and YouTube deleted the updates on his live streams and videos, and then there might be 50 people watching. That was about a year ago. Okay, so it went down to 1/6 of what would normally be watching. 5 months ago, my live streams were getting, not much more, but 58, some days 50, some days 64. It's because of my political commentary, especially around election time, that YouTube is unsubscribing my subscribers. Samuel says that they're sleeping together. Of course they are, Samuel. All politicians are liars. And if anybody knows what the definition of a politician is, You could put it up on the board when I get down to it, or remind me when I get to the bottom of the page, and I'll tell you what the legal definition of a politician is. Keith Hatch. Oh yeah, they're all in bed together. Patrick Barker came back. Hello, Michael. Abuse facts. I abuse facts. Yeah, okay. See, now I gave you the benefit of the doubt when you made intelligent comments, but I won't give you the benefit of the doubt when you say stupid stuff. Get to it. Right, you're going to push me along at your pace. Okay, now AKAQ. I don't really care if Twitler does not get his wall. Do I? Of course I do. It's destroying the Social Security for people that paid into it. That's where the money's coming from. Okay, so I'm going to skip past some of these comments. AQ says AQ calls Trump Adolf Hitler. He's no different than Obama. Trump and Obama, they work for the same people. They follow orders from the same people. Patrick Barker, remove someone. Surely you wouldn't do that after you cried people deleted your comments. No one that I know of has deleted my comments. See, here's Patrick Barker the troll. Here's Patrick Barker the troll. Better go easy. Yeah, okay. So Patrick Barker the troll is trying to say that I said somebody deleted my comments. Now, I never said that. I said there are people on YouTube that delete comments. I am sure that there are people that have deleted my comments, but YouTube's new policy is that if I went to my analytics page this month, YouTube is deleting my comments. That's a fact. If I went to my analytics page, which I'm not going to go to, but I do know I could make a screenshot of it, but I'm not going to do that either. If you go to Social Blade, you can look at my my analytics chart on Social Blade. This month I got 3,700 comments in the last 30 days. It goes by 30-day periods. 2 weeks ago, I had 3,300 comments in the preceding 30 days. And a month ago, I had 2,200 comments in the preceding 30 days. So because of my, for whatever reason, more views, I got more comments, or more politically incorrect stuff I did, I got more comments. So now if YouTube said I got 3,700 comments, it should average out to about 107 comments a day. If I go to my comments section, I think I got 9 comments today. I looked at, there were 9 comments in the last 24 hours that I can see, but it shows in the analytics chart from 3 days ago, I got 130 comments in one day. But if you go back to that day of 11/11, I can only see on average, I see between 8 and 12 comments a day, when each day it says that I received over 100 comments. So 80% of my comments are disappearing. So YouTube is deleting my comments. But Patrick Barker is sliding in the backhanded stuff, the left-handed compliments, the backstabbing stuff, saying that I shouldn't delete his comments, even though he's trolling my channel. And I specifically told Samuel, don't delete the comments, because now we have 2 things going on with Patrick Barker. First of all, the man has proven himself to be not stupid by making some intelligent comments. But then, in other places, he proves his ignorance beyond doubt by stating things that are 100% false. And that's the truth, Patrick. AKAQ. Better trust the NSA. Okay. Better trust the NSA has already used satellites to take a gander and use facial recognition. Of course they have. And that's the information that we should be getting from the NSA or the DEA, but we're not. Mike P. Comment. News shows many of them sitting on top of the border wall. It certainly does. And that's disgusting. Because once they jumped over, the news also shows the Border Patrol agents back. I can't determine the distance because it's a straight-on shot, but by the size of them, they look like they're between 80 and 100 feet away. And when they jump down off the border wall, they're not arresting them. So yes. AQ says, yes, those on foot are 1,000 miles away. Okay, I'll give you that. But they're only on foot because the buses and the trucks that have been transporting them haven't made the round trip yet. I'm sure that there's not enough buses and trucks to do thousands every day. Well, I don't, based on what I saw, they don't show you the whole truck caravan transporting the migrants. They just show you one small segment. And the case I saw was an 18-yard dump truck with a 45-foot lowboy. Looked like there were 200 people on there. Then there were buses, and there was probably 60 people on the bus, because 60 people on the bus is easy. But they don't show you. Nobody is flying down the length of the road to show us the truth. Now, YouTube says Prick is his given name. Patrick Barker says he would love to debate me. In order to do that, Patrick, I would have to know who you are, where you live, your telephone number, and talk to you in person first. And then we would go over what we would discuss, and then you could debate me. But you are just trying to entice me into talking to you because of the garbage that you've been spamming my channel with. So be careful what you wish for. No, Mr. Nuts, I have a reason for this. Thank you. Life in the Philippines, as I say it. Good morning to you, Mr. Fazio, from Quezon City, and a big hello to everyone on your live stream. Thank you for stopping by Life in the Philippines. I see Patrick Barker is making more false statements on my channel. YouTube. YouTube explains his what I just mentioned. I thought you were talking about Trump, but you got that right, YouTube. The man is stating false stuff all over the internet. Everywhere he goes, he's spamming lies, half-truths, and deceits. Okay, so AKA Q. Okay, which BS stats are you telling me to get the hell out of here with? Exactly. Which ones? AQ, AKA dash Q. Who are you addressing, first of all? So you people think everybody that does a live stream is able to read your mind, who you're addressing, stating bullshit stats. Well, I can just say your statement is bullshit because you didn't address a particular person and you didn't address which stats. So that's a bullshit statement. So there is bullshit going on here by several people. But I can only state what I have read. I can't state it to be a fact. And I already covered that. I can't state anything to be a fact because you can't get the truth. So unless you address who you are addressing the comment to and what bullshit stats you're addressing, whereas maybe I could Google the information you post, then your statement is bullshit. I don't know. Keith Hatch. Now, it sounds like an intelligent name. Let's read. Keith Hatch. It's a dirty business, as usual, with the CEO of the Corporation of the United States. He's talking about Trump. Trump is the CEO of the United States, the Corporation of the United States. Keith Hatch, most people don't know what that means. But the United States is a chartered corporation, and you are indentured into that corporation as the slaves. Got to turn that profit among other things. That's right, Keith. Okay, so we are what is known as indentured slaves from birth. Life in the Philippines. Hey, Mr. M Nuts. Okay, yep. Yes, YouTube. They do want us to be they want most of the population gone. That's right, YouTube. There's no doubt about that. And the way they can do that are so many different ways. So many different ways. Okay, so Scott Del Fuego is here. I see good evening, Scott. Okay, wait a second. I lost my place here. All right. All right, Mr. Nuts. I hate missing some really good comments, and I want to find out where Scott came in and say hello. AKAQ. I'll get to you in a second. All right. Boy, this thing scrolled down quite a bit. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to. Okay, so I'm back up to AKAQ. Get the F out of here with those bullshit stats. Keith Richard, life in the Philippines, they just want you dead. As I see it, Mr. Michael. I see it. Keith Dahl, I remember you from somewhere. Thanks for stopping by. Says the DEA and ICE hide license plate readers in the street lights. Of course they do. AKAQ, yes, we use choppers in the U.S. You cannot violate in other countries. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. AK, he's saying, yes, we use choppers in the United States, but you cannot violate another country's airspace. It would be deemed an act of war. Dolt. Like I don't know this, but you could get permission from Mexico to do that, so you can have an idea what's on its way. And Mexico also has that capability, and they could share that information with America. So don't come over here and call me a dolt. I know that it would be that they can't go on the other side of the border and stop those people because it would be considered an act of war, which is bullshit in and of itself, because there should be a 200 to 300 meter neutral zone on the other side that people can't enter. But don't tell me that I don't know that it's an act of war by calling me a dolt. What a piece of garbage you are. Do you think? I tell you what, AKAQ, I'm going to try to look you. Well, why don't you send me? Why don't you do a live stream and correct me on all my issues? Go ahead, but because why don't you do it? Because you don't have what it takes to create a live stream without notes by memory. You don't have what it takes to do this. And if you did, you probably have some small subscriber base that wouldn't be interested anyway. I have 17,000 subscribers and I have a lousy 23 people. Not that the people are lousy, but YouTube is just I sent out a notice at 9:45 that there was going to be a live stream. I don't know how many people got it that are here or how many people YouTube sent it out to, but I sent it out. But according to two people that sent me messages this week, no one's receiving my a live stream update. So I would imagine that if you have 100 people, how many people do you have that follow you? You make a live stream. Make a live stream. See, let's see you do this. Scott Del Fuego, moving on. Mr. Fazio, one of the great philosophers of the 21st century. Thank you, Scott. I got to laugh. And the reason why I laugh is because Scott says this half in jest and whole in heart. There isn't a person watching this video live stream now that can do what I do. Now, if there are other people that do live streams, but they have 5 or 6 people commenting on different topics, you have people that are doing a live stream and they have 50, 60 viewers, and they're talking about garbage the whole time. They're talking about garbage. They're talking about a girl comes on. You want to know what other people's live streams are that I think of? They're all, some of them are really entertaining. I got to tell you that. I won't mention which ones, but there's a live stream where 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys used to get on and abuse people. I found that pretty entertaining. I'm not above having a laugh on somebody else, even if whether it's true or not. I would try to make that determination, but I like sarcastic humor. I like that. I grew up in a big city, and I like sarcasm. But Scott says one of the greatest philosophers, okay, so of all time, of the 21st century. So there are other live streamers that the only way they can get views is to throw a face up of a girl coming on their Google Hangout, a pretty girl. And then you get these idiots. There's 58 people on the live stream, let's say. And you get 20 morons. The first thing they do is when they see the girl, when a Google Hangout person talks, their picture goes up on the screen while they're talking. And you have a picture of somebody that you don't know if it's a real picture or not. So, but they have a beautiful face. And there's 58 people on the live stream. And 20 of them, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh my God, where do you live? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a friend that looks like you? These are worthless shit live streams. I'm giving you information. I'm even giving you the ability to interact here via comments, as long as you keep it civil. I'm even addressing comments by people that are outright frauds and disperse outright bullshit on the internet. I'm giving them their say. Now, other people give other people their say, but most of the stuff that is said in most of the live streams is absolutely worthless information. I should do a live stream on dating in the Philippines. And actually, I might do that. Okay, I'll give you the name of the live stream will be "77." Okay, dating in the Philippines. 77 the lie, 77 reasons, or 77 thoughts. It'll have the number 77 in it. Because I have another video with 77 reasons or 77 things to look out for when you're dating. So I think my next live stream is going to be on dating. If the people that are here now, if you could answer a question, how many of the people that are here now received the notice that I was doing a live stream? The notice went out about 9:45 my time, AM, excuse me, and 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How many people received the notice, please? If you're here and you did receive a notice, please tell me that too. Okay, thanks for the comments, Scott. I'm going to move past a little bit forward, moving forward a little bit here. CD, they already have a head count. Of course they do. And like the Dutch bag, the DUTCH, the Dutch bag, aka / _Q, the Dutch bag calls me adult, telling me we're not allowed to use the choppers in a foreign country. But we could get permission to do that, or Mexico could give us those details if they wanted to. You don't think the Mexico has a similar organization to drug enforcement? They have helicopters with IF, infrared heat signature, that directly connected to computers. Of course, CFD, they have the head count. Trump just won't tell us. YouTube says the American dream died in the 80s. That's true. Mr. Nuts, 1973, says, indeed, Scott, that I am one of the greatest philosophers of the 21st century. Now, I wouldn't say, there's a lot of guys on YouTube that make better commentaries, but I'm learning little by little. I'm even learning how to deal with the trolls. And speaking about trolls, here we go. I'm going to get to this one. Patrick Walker says, Michael, just so you know, I've never deleted a person from anything. I debate them and destroy them. Patrick Walker, please, by all means, I request that you send me a link to one of your debates. I would like to see one of your debates. I would like to see your debating skills. Now, remember, I said you're a smart guy. You just post false statements. So if you destroy them by stating false statements, and you're a really good liar like Trump, you can have people believe you. But you might be some kind of genius debater. I'm not, but I would like you to post the name of a video that you made debating somebody else and prove that you are this mass debater. No pun intended. Okay, now Patrick goes on to say, we've had drones flying over the southern border for and sensors planted everywhere. How? You might be a mass debater, Patrick, but I have to tell you, your sentence syntax sucks. Your ability to form a cognitive thought in order in a paragraph sucks, and your ability to spell sucks. And you don't spell check anything that you say, which makes you look quite stupid, because there's no hurry to post what you have to post, and yet you don't check sentence syntax, word spelling, or even the order of the words that you put in, or the words themselves. So if you might be the mass debater of all times, which you just professed to do, you said you debate people and destroy them, which would make you a mass debater. You might be the mass debater of YouTube. You might be the mass debater of your hometown. People might know you as Patrick Barker, the mass debater who destroys people. But your sentence, syntax, spelling, structure, and words suck. If you were in an English class, I'd have to fail you. Now, I'm not telling you that mine is the best, but I mean, I check my spelling when I put something into a YouTube comment. The least you could do is show us the respect to check your spelling. You look like an idiot with this kind of sentence structure and spelling. Okay. Having a dissenting opinion does not make one a moron. You called me adult. What does adult means? That I'm, incompetent. Unless I have the wrong meaning of dull. Adult usually means somebody that walks around going, do, like that. That's what my interpretation of adult is. Someone can look it up and post the definition, please. He calls me adult. He must mean that I'm stupid. I don't know. Patrick Barker. See, here's an intelligent question. See, this guy's a professional troll. He might have intelligence. Okay, so let's go through your sentence spelling first. You already do is not capitalized, by the way. So you started a sentence with a small case letter. Do you think the border control can respond to a certain spot so fast when sentence structure sucks, dude? It just sucks. Okay, I'll read it as is and then I'll correct it. Do you think the border control, it's not control, dude, it's border patrol. You used the wrong word. Can respond. The border control doesn't even exist. It's the border patrol. If you asked 100 people, is it border control or border patrol? Somebody, you guys put down in the comments, do you think it's border control? There is border control, but the border control doesn't mobilize itself to move from one place to the other. The border patrol mobilizes itself to move from one place to another. So like I said, you might be a master beta, but your sentence structure, syntax, and your ability to form a cognitive sentence sucks. I mean, come on, dude. You're writing at a 6th or 7th grade level. How can you be a master debater if you have a 6th or 7th grade reading level or writing level? Reading and writing are two different things. Excuse me for making a mistake there. So do I think the border control, which should be patrol, can respond to a certain spot so fast when cover hundreds of miles? Geez, dude, you just shouldn't be writing this stuff out and you can write it out like this. I'm not going to critique your spelling, but I only started critiquing your spelling when you said in the above statement that I never deleted a person from anything. I debate them and destroy them, which means that your debating skills are masterful, making you a master beta. And then 3 comments down, you can't form a proper sentence. How can you be a master beta and then not be able to spell? So I'll read the comment again, just to let you people know what I'm dealing with here. I have to figure out what he means. So do should have been apologized. Do you think the border patrol, not control, can respond to a certain spot so fast? It shouldn't say so fast. It should say fast enough. And it shouldn't say a certain spot so fast when cover hundreds of miles. It shouldn't say that, dude. It should say, I'll read it the way it should state it. It should be stated. Do you think, with capital D, do you think the border patrol can respond to a certain spot fast enough to cover hundreds of miles? That's what it should say. And you can't write that down in a sentence, but you can debate people and destroy them. I don't believe it. But like I said, I want to see one of your debates. So put the link or the title of the video down that's on YouTube, and we could all watch this master beta destroy his opponents. Jeez, Patrick. Patrick Barker says, tell Daisy she has a heart of gold. When she said on a video to be happy and live happy, she made some real sense. Real sense. S-I-N-S-E. It's sense. It's S-E-N-S-E, by the way. Okay, so I'll tell Daisy when she comes back. Life in the Philippines. I'm not a troll. Patrick also says, we'd love for you to address everybody. Yeah, that's what I'm doing today. That's what I'm doing. This live stream is for every comment, unless it's just, like a simple hello. I'm not going to get involved with, hey, how you doing and where you from? Okay, life in the Philippines, as I say, I'm not a troll or a hater, Mr. Michael. Just paying my respects in regards to your channel and family. Just being friendly. Thank you for stopping by. Patrick Barker, the master beta, says, LOL, you just mentioned my name with it is my name. Man, oh man, oh man. You nobody in there, right? You would fail a seventh grade. I don't think you are you don't I don't think you have a seventh grade writing skill set. LOL, you just mentioned my name with it. Just LOL, you just mentioned my name with it. Is my name. No fun profile pictures, no code names. I said a little Neil Diamond, thought you get a kick out of it. Okay. Mr. Nuts, life in the Philippines. You're all good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nuts. CFD, you really do not know what is going on. Okay. All right, CFD, you're another one. Post the name of your channel at the bottom of the page, and let's go. We'll go see what you. I'll visit your channel right now if you have something to say, and you tell you what you do, CFD. I don't know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on. America is being destroyed from the inside out, from the top to the bottom, from the Democrats to the Republicans, from the socialists to the communists. I know exactly what's going on. And the Vatican is behind most of it. The Illuminati, Vatican, controls most of the destruction that's going on in today's society. Because if the Vatican has had control for the last 100 years of the mindset of most people, if the Vatican was an honest institution with good intentions, it would say that we don't want this to happen. And when America was a nation comprised mostly of Christians, America would stay on track. Or if the Vatican had enough, balls to say, this, we don't agree with this, and we want to see America succeed because America sends us a lot of money. But the Vatican doesn't do that. So don't tell me I don't know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on. I know a lot more than you do. I'm sure of it, because if we went to your channel, I'm pretty certain there'd be nothing worth mentioning on your channel. Without even going there, I'm pretty sure that would happen. Okay, Patrick Barker, found one thing I can agree with you on. These egghead worried more about misspelled words than the substance of what is being said. Yeah, I agree 100%. I wouldn't have checked your spelling if you hadn't told me you were a master beta. There's nobody else that I check their spelling or sentence syntax. I'm just trying to help you the next time you debate somebody and you want to appear masterful. At least speak in cognitive sentences. Just use there are people on here that are very literate, by the way, Patrick. If they were to critique your sentence structure and grammar, there might even be an English teacher on here or somebody that writes reports on a regular basis. If when somebody writes a report and they have this kind of spelling error and sentence syntax and a non-flowing thought process, the person reading it says, and they throw it away. Okay, if they have to try to figure out what you're saying. If it was a law contract in a court of law, you couldn't put this in as an argument or a case to be debated in a court of law. Your sentence structure, they would just throw it out. Nobody would even put it. My lawyer used to have a secretary who was like a real genius woman. Okay, she would reread what he wrote. He was a genius too. They were all pretty smart to become a lawyer. But he would write something, and then she would spell check it and for commas and all that other stuff. It's really hard to write, but so that you can hand it to a judge, because a comma could make all the difference in a court of law. But you're a master beta. You should have better syntax. Okay. Keith Hatch, Now, it says this. I don't know what this is, Keith. I can't see what that is. It looks like a computer. Keith has said this is the largest source of problems in the world. Computer? I'm not sure what it is. All right. So Patrick is not a friend, but not an enemy. No, I don't want to be your enemy. I'm actually having a lot of fun with you, Patrick. Okay, so life in the Philippines as I see it. Have a good and wonderful day or night wherever you are from Quezon. Thanks, life in the Philippines, AKAQ. RT News, are you freaking kidding? That is Russian state news. Only a fool would believe that dribble. Okay, if it was in writing, you might have a point. But it was documented yesterday where they were at the Mexican border filming the people jumping over the fence. So you're going to argue with film or video? You're going to say that's false? It was dated yesterday. It was created yesterday. It was in the news yesterday. It was confirmed by Fox yesterday. Come on, dude. Don't come here and post that kind of garbage on my live stream. Yeah, RT News is a lot of propaganda. But the facts are that it showed you the people jumping over the wall. Now, how are you going to deny video proof of that? How are you going to deny video proof? You're going to say that happened 2 months ago? It happened yesterday, dude. Okay, now. RT News is paid opposition, Mr. Nuts. That's right. Okay, Samuel. Okay, sir. You got it. Patrick. Okay, now Patrick may have a good point. If they don't go through legal port, they will be held and told to go through the legal port of entry. Okay, now originally Trump said if they didn't go through the portal, the entry that Patrick's talking about, this is what he said, that they would be not allowed to come into America. But what Patrick says doesn't contradict that. They may just be told to go to a port of entry, which means that Trump lied when he said nobody's coming in. Honey, just shut that window, please. Shut the curtain. Thank you. A little bit more. Okay. That's it. Perfect. Okay. So, Scott Del Fuego. Okay, so yeah, Patrick. Okay, so they might be stopping them at the places where there's barbed wire and not allowed to go through and then putting them back to the original port. Okay, that makes sense. And it goes right along with the fact that Trump lied to us from the beginning about this. The wall just got 10 feet taller, says Scott Del Fuego. I don't know. Oh, Scott Del Fuego was being facetious because when Trump's speech, when they said they were bringing in the people and they were that Mexico wasn't going to pay for the wall, one of Trump's key phrases was, Mexico says they're not going to pay for the wall. So now the wall just got 10 feet higher. Yeah. And then everybody in the audience, yay, the wall got 10 feet higher. That never happened. I think Scott was being a little facetious there. I think I caught the drift of that. Scott and Samuel are saying hello. Okay, Patrick Barker. You know, Patrick Barker, for all the aggravation that that not aggravation, it's not even aggravation. For all the stuff that you post that's not true or half truths, at least today we're having a civil conversation. Okay, so Michael, have you wondered how Democrats can claim they're concerned about kids being pulled out of their mother's arms by ICE, and yet they have no problem with kids actually getting? Oh, okay. And I knew there would be a continuation. Okay, so Michael, have you ever wondered how Democrats can claim they're concerned about kids being pulled out of their mother's arms by ICE, and yet they have no problem with kids actually getting ripped from their mothers in pieces and unable to be returned because they are chopped up as body parts to the highest bidder? Yes, Patrick. You know, Patrick, there was a guy that named Manny from Manny Skywatch or Manny 2011, and he was the first person that made me aware that they were chopping up children inside the mother's womb and using the body parts for DNA and stem cells. Yeah, that always bothered me. Yep. It not only does it bother me, I think it's immoral right across the board. Now, I get sick. Or yeah, I do wonder how Democrats can say they are concerned about that. They lie, Democrats. It's and what you said has been proven 100 different ways. Okay, now they're getting stem cells from aborted feces, um, fetuses, and and how they're getting away with it is they're saying this will help you live longer and it will give you more ability for your heart and liver and lungs to regenerate, and it makes your brain sharper and shit like that. Yeah, I get sick when I think about that. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. And you know what though, Patrick, you got to say it's the Republicans' fault too because they don't change. Planned Parenthood has killed more people than wars in